So today we're doing assignment 12, radical equations day 2, starting with radical equations level 3. So let's click on that first category. And so once again, we're going to solve for all values of x. So first step that we want to do is actually square both sides. Okay, so once you square both sides, I know it looks a little bit weird to be squaring this side, but let me expand it out so hopefully it looks a little bit more easy to manage with. Let me expand it out. So square root of x minus 3, square root of x minus 3. And then on the right side, this one, the square root of x minus 9 squared, that one just becomes x minus 9 because the square root that was on top of everything, it canceled out with the square that was applied to everything. Okay, so far we have this, and then I'm going to kind of rewrite over here so that I have more space. And now what do we do with this side? We're actually going to FOIL it. So our usual FOIL. So for F stands for first. So we're going to multiply the first terms, the square root of x and the square root of x. So square root of x and square root of x gives us x. Then we're going to do the O, which stands for outer. So then that means we're going to do the square root of x times the negative 3. So minus 3 square root of x. The I in FOIL stands for inner. So we're going to multiply the negative 3 times the square root of x. So another minus 3 root x. And then the L in FOIL stands for last. So you're going to do the negative 3 times the negative 3. So that gives us a plus 9. And then all of this will equal x minus 9 so far. All right, before I continue, are there any questions? Okay, so now that we've gotten this part, let's simplify it until we can get our radical by itself. So we have x. These two is minus 6 radical x, or 6 square root of x, plus 9 equals x minus 9. Okay, and then we can subtract the 9 on both sides. That gives us x minus 6 square root of x equals x minus 18. And then we can subtract x on both sides, which gives us negative 6 square root of x is equal to negative 18. And then we can divide by negative 6, trying to isolate our square root. And then that gives us square root of x equals positive 3. I don't know why that took me a while, but square root of x is equal to positive 3. And then from here, you can just square both sides. And then that gives us, I'll just write it up here for space. Square root of x squared gives us x, and then 3 squared gives us 9. Okay, so then we have x equals 9 as a possible solution, but we're going to have to test it out. But before we do that, let me pause here and see if anybody needs more time. Okay, so like I said, we don't know for sure if this is correct yet, so we must plug it in to try it out. And so let me rewrite our original equation up here because I have space up here. So our original equation was square root of x minus 3 is equal to square root of all of this, x minus 9. Okay, so I'm going to test out this value. We just said x equals 9 was a possible solution, so we're going to try it out. So square root of, well, it says x, and we are testing out the x value of 9, so I'm going to put in 9 there. It says minus 3 is equal to square root of, it says another x, and remember we are testing out the x value of 9, so I plug it in there as well. So you plug it in on 2 places because the x appears in 2 places. And then from here, we're going to simplify. So square root of 9 minus 3, that is, well, square root of 9 is just 3, so we have 3 minus 3. And then here we have square root of 9 minus 9, that is 0. And then we simplify again, so 3 minus 3 is just 0, and then square root of 0 is 0, and so we get 0 equals 0, and that is true. So then x equals 9 is correct. So we want x equals 9. So I'm going to go ahead and put x equals 9 into our answer box because it gave us a true statement. Are there any questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and enter this in. 9. All right, let's do another problem. Okay, so solve for all values of x again. So remember that our first step here is to just simply square both sides. Okay, and so let me expand out this one because it looks a little bit weird. So square root of x minus 1, square root of x minus 1 equals square root, oops, sorry. Once we square that one, this one square root would just disappear. So it's just x minus 10. Okay, and then so with the left side, we are going to FOIL it, and I'm gonna continue writing over here. So remember that F in FOIL stands for first. So you're gonna multiply square root of x times square root of x, giving you just regular x. And then the O in FOIL stands for outer. So that would be the square root of x times the -1, so that would be minus square root of x. The I in FOIL stands for inner, so then it's -1 and the square root of x, so minus square root of x. And the L in FOIL stands for last, so it's -1 times -1, giving us a +1. So we just FOILed that left side and it was equal to x minus 10. Okay, so I know I paused earlier on the last problem for here to give you guys more time, so I'll do the same here. All right, so now that we've done this part, so we just need to simplify. So x minus 2 square root of x, because there's minus square root of x and minus square root of x, so there's 2 of them. So minus 2 square root of x plus 1 equals x minus 10. So let's isolate our radical. So I'm going to subtract 1. X minus 2 square root of x cancels out, equals x minus 11, and then I'm going to minus x. I'm going to get -2 square root of x equals, those cancel out, just -11. And then we divide by -2, divide by -2. Sorry, I just wrote it kind of more bold so you can see it hopefully. And that gives us square root of x is equal to positive 11 over 2. And then now that our square root is alone, we just need to square both sides. And let me write our answer right over here. So square root of x squared is just x. And then 11 over 2 squared will be 11 squared on top, and then 2 squared on bottom. So 121 over 4. Okay, I'm gonna pause here, see if there's any questions. One. All right, so I think it makes it easier actually if we turn this fraction into a decimal. So I just went ahead on the calculator and I just divided this out. This gives us x equals 30.25, so 30.25. Okay, and then remember, we don't know if this is the answer yet. We must plug it in to our original equation. So let me rewrite our original equation. Once again, I'll just use this space up here. Right here. This is our original equation, just in not bothered by all the squares that I wrote originally. Okay, so here's our original equation. We're gonna plug it in and make sure it works. So plugging in 30.25 wherever we see x. Okay, maybe I should have given myself more space. There we go. So I plugged it in on 2 spots because there was an x in 2 spots. So the square root of 30.25, let's see on my calculator, that would give us 5.5. So we have 5.5 minus 1 on the left side, and then that should be equal, hopefully, to the square root of 30.25 minus 10. So 30.25 minus 10 is 20.25. All right, so let's simplify again. 5.5 minus 1 is 4.5. And then let's see, what is the square root of 20.25? Where's my square root button? There it is. Oh, it's equal to 4.5. Okay, so now that we've plugged it in and it gave us 4.25 equals 4.25, which is a correct statement, then we are good. That means we want to accept this value. So I'm going to go ahead and in the answer box, I will enter 30.25. Or if you prefer, I could enter the fraction, but it doesn't matter. They are exactly the same. I didn't round anything here. It's just 30.25 exactly. So let me pause here, see if you guys need more time to write or if you have any questions. All right, so it looks like 30.25 is my answer. 30.25. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so we're going to solve for all values of x. And then hopefully I get a chance to reject an answer in front of you guys so you know what that looks like. But we'll see. Okay, so our first step is to square and square. So we're squaring everything, squaring both sides. So let me expand out this one. And then for the other side is square root of x plus 6 squared. So the square root and the squared cancel out, leaving us with just x plus 6. And then once again, now we get to FOIL. So let me just rewrite it up there where I have space, and let me write our acronym FOIL. So the F in FOIL stands for first. That means we are multiplying the square root of x times the square root of x, giving us x. The O in the FOIL stands for outer, so I'm going to multiply the square root of x times the 1, so it's plus square root of x. The I in FOIL stands for inner, so that's the plus 1 times the square root of x, which is another plus square root of x. And the L in FOIL stands for last, so it's the 1 plus 1. 1 times 1, which gives us 1. Okay, so we just FOILed that bit, and then this is equal to x plus 6. All right, I'll pause here. All right, so after this, we are going to simplify. So we have our x. These two are plus 2 square root of x. And then we have our plus 1 equals x plus 6. All right, now let's bring everything over. So I'm going to minus 1. X plus 2 square root of x cancels out equals x plus 5. Subtract x. Then those cancel out. We get 2 square root of x is equal to cancel out. That just gives us 5. We're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2, this is a 2. And then that cancels out. We get square root of x is equal to 5 over 2. So I'm just going to write 2.5. I'm just going to preemptively put it in decimal form just because it's a little bit easier, I think, maybe. So once again, we're not done yet, but we need to convert this into just x, because right now we have square root of x. So we're going to do that by squaring both sides. And so square root of x squared is just x. And then 2.5 squared is 6.25. Okay, now we're not done yet. We need to plug this in, but before I do, I usually pause here, so I'll give you guys another pause. All right, so once again, this is not our final solution yet. We must plug it in to our original equation, so let me rewrite that. And then we're going to plug it in, make sure it works, or double check to see if it works. So we got square root of 6.25, and then plus 1 on the outside of the square root. And then over here is 6.25 plus 6. So we plug in our x value into both places where there is an x, and then we double check. So 6.25, the square root of that would just be 2.5. And then this would be 12.25. Right? And then let's double check. So 2.5 plus 1 is 3.5. Here, let me just draw my box. 3.5. And then the square root of 12.25 is also 3.5. I just did it on my calculator. So Yes, 3.5 is equal to 3.5, which is indeed true. So therefore, we accept the 6.25 as our answer. So we will enter this into Delta Math. Okay, so once again, I'll just pause here and make sure you guys have enough time to write. So let's go ahead and type in 6.25. 6.25. Okay, and so like I said, I'm just gonna go look at show examples until we find one where they reject an answer, because I need you guys to be able to see that, since we had 3 examples that were, accept, okay. Since we already had 3 examples where we accepted an answer, what does it look like to reject an answer? I would love to see it. If only I could find a single example that rejects an answer. I know there are because I saw it earlier. Okay, found one. See how it says reject. Okay, so you follow those steps that we've been doing until you get your x value. Trying to zoom in here. It's lagging. Okay, so you get your x value, which you can see on the bottom. So you solve it like usual, and then now is the part where we check. So once you check your answer, let's take a look. They plug it into the original problem, and then you get square root of 2.25 minus 5 is equal to square root of 2.25 plus 10. So then when you calculate that out, you get negative 3.5 is equal to positive 3.5. So you see how it's different from like what we did before. Before we got something like 2 equals 2, positive number equals positive number. But when you reject an answer, it's going to look like negative number is equal to positive number. So this is a lie. Negative 3.5 is not the same as 3.5. This is a false statement. So since it is a false statement, you reject 2.25, or whatever the answer is that you would get in your situation. And so you just enter in nothing onto Delta Math. Remember, I showed you how to do that on the last assignment, where you just literally submit with nothing there. So I just really wanted to show you, when you're doing your checking portion, when you plug it into your original equation, if you get a negative number equals a positive number, that's when you reject. Negative equals positive, then you reject. Are there any questions? All right, then that's it for this category. I zoomed out. Okay, let me stop this video and we'll start the other one really soon.